Let's talk about Pirarucu fish skin cowboy boots today. We'll talk about the animal, the Arapaima or Pirarucu itself. We'll talk about the leather quality and compare it to the fake print version as well, so you can tell the difference. Let's get into it.
I'm just here to connect ya, and then I'll be on my way.
All right, so let's start with why Pirarucu fish skin leather is even a thing for cowboy boots to begin with. A Pirarucu fish, also known as Arapaima, is a fish that's from the Amazon. They grow extremely large, and they're one of the only fish to actually breathe air. They come up to the surface and they gulp air. They don't breathe through gills. So apparently this made them a little bit easier to catch, even though they're enormous. So that led to some population problems in Brazil. And I covered that news a few years ago right here on the channel, but I've heard that that's changing now and populations are growing thanks to more rules and regulations and also more Arapaima Pirarucu farming. This leather is a newer exotic for the cowboy boot world in the grand scheme of things. It definitely hasn't been used for as long as ostrich and some of the other exotic leathers. And the reason why this is being used a little bit more is because it kind of looks like the leather from another animal that was banned in the 2000s. Of course, I'm talking about anteater, which was a very popular exotic leather used up until the year 2000 when it was banned. Anteater leather comes from the pangolin anteater, which was hunted to near extinction, not only for its leather, but also because many cultures find medicinal qualities in its scales and meat. So when the unique diamond-shaped anteater leather was banned in 2000, that left an opening in the marketplace for something that looked a little bit similar. That's where Pirarucu stepped in. The Pirarucu fish was the closest alternative, and even though one animal is a mammal and the other is a fish, they actually have a lot in common. They both breathe air, for starters. Both have armor-like scales to protect themselves against predators. The Pirarucu has those scales to protect it against piranha attacks, and pangolin anteaters have those scales to protect it against predators like lions. And when the scales of both of these animals are removed, you get these diamond-shaped patterns here, which are really unique to both species. And that's why Pirarucu leather was a great replacement for the anteater in the marketplace. Now that we have an idea of why Pirarucu fish skin leather is used for cowboy boots, let's talk about some of the qualities. It's a super soft, lightweight, and supple leather that breathes really, really well, especially when it's used on a boot that was constructed traditionally that already is built to breathe very well. This is the best summertime boot in my opinion. I love wearing this boot during the summertime. Super lightweight, super soft, super supple, and it breathes awesome, so my feet are staying cool all summer long in these boots. Many folks believe that since it's a fish, it's a little bit more fragile than some other leathers, but it's actually pretty durable and thick. You know, it's much more durable than a snakeskin, which is very fragile and thin, so it's thicker than a snakeskin. I'd have to say this is about the same thickness and durability as a caiman leather. But since it is an exotic leather, Pirarucu boots come with a higher price tag, many of them starting at $500. This is a blackjack boot, which starts at maybe around $900 right now. And that's why brands also make print versions or fake versions of the skin so that you can have the look of a Pirarucu fish skin leather without the price. But it is pretty obvious when they are side by side which one is real and which one is fake. If you're trying to determine whether a Pirarucu fish skin is real or fake just by looking at pictures, the Pirarucu fish skin has a very distinctive flaky look to it, which is almost impossible to replicate in a print or embossed boot. If you're actually holding the boot and you're trying to figure out if it's real, well, that flakiness is one way, but also you can take your finger and sort of stick it under the skin here because this is where the scales were. So when they pulled the scales out, that left some space under here. You can actually stick your finger right in there underneath the skin. And you definitely can't do that with the print version of a boot. When they're side by side, it's obvious which one is real and which one is fake. But when you just have one to look at, it might be just a little bit more difficult if you don't have a real reference. Brands who use print leathers will often cut corners in other areas of the boots. for folks who want the look of an exotic for less than half the price. This Farini, for example, has a thin plastic heel counter, which will eventually crack, and the whole support system of the boot will fail, making these boots pretty much useless. Also, the piping on these boots have also cracked in many places after just one wear. That's all to say that a print exotic cowboy boot will most likely have a significantly shorter lifespan than what you get with the real deal, just because if a brand is investing in the leather itself, they're probably investing in other areas of the boot as well, just to make sure that this lasts as long as possible. Not so much with a cheap print boot. I'm not a huge fan of print cowboy boots, and that's why I always say go for the real thing if you can. If you can't, just go for a regular cowhide boot, then make it your dress boot until you can get something of the real deal. It makes a huge, huge difference, and the amount of money that you're gonna spend replacing this over and over and over again, I'd rather see you save that kind of money, get something good, let it sit while you save up for the real deal. That's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'm a huge fan of Pirarucu leather, and let me know your experience down in the comments as well. Love you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
You get a line and I get my boots, honey. You get a line and I get my boots, babe. You get a line and I get my boots. We'll both end up with Pirarucu. You get a line and I get my boots, babe. Thanks so much for watching today. Why don't you check out this other video up here about conditioning Pirarucu? Or I got a music video down here I think you might enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe up here, and I will see you next time. Peace. Have a good one.